Welcome back to Coffee and Conversation. For all you Audie fans, I'm pretty sure I know where he is, but he is not in the room with me right now. I cleaned out a bookshelf, well, half a bookshelf, a few weeks ago, and I subsequently discovered Audie sleeping in the space that used to be occupied by books. And I went in a few times after that, and yeah, when I haven't been able to find him, that's where he's been. I have no idea why he wants to sleep on a cold, hard bookshelf instead of, something soft and warm like a bed, a chair, whatever. But he is a strange little guy, and that is where he's been sleeping lately. So I guess we'll have to see if he shows up. Frankly, I have to be honest. I'm not really holding my breath because he goes through moods when he wants to participate in the videos and then moods where, no, not going to happen. The cat is just going to withhold his precious presence from everyone. And I think we're in one of those phases now. But we're going to take a quick look at the intro and get started. And if he shows up, he shows up. So, I finally got around to putting on that white silk polo shirt that I spoke with you about a few weeks back. I had picked this up on Amazon, and by the way, you can get some great deals on Amazon if you shop carefully enough. This is 100% mulberry silk. Amazon, by the way, still available. I got this for $27 because it was on sort of special sale. It's still on sale, but it's on sale now for $34. And I got a black one, just like it, for that $34 price point. This was a great deal. The $34 one was a good deal. So I'm not saying it's not a good deal. It's just that this was so much better a deal that I did feel disappointed when I was only getting a very good deal, not a great deal. So anyway, it's been a while, and I thought you should probably see what it looks like on a human. And I'm very satisfied with it. I'm also very satisfied with its black cousin, but not quite as satisfied as I am with this one because this one was the better deal. And they also have it in gray, by the way. So, yeah, it opened up a whole new can of worms for me, though, because what I realized when I moved those two tops into my closet was about 80% of my shirts are t-shirts. And there's a lot to be said for a t-shirt. They are comfortable. Heaven knows I don't hate them. So it's not like I will look at a t-shirt and say, I loathe this and I cannot bear the fact that my closet is full of t-shirts. No, I'm okay with t-shirts. They are comfortable. They are versatile. But you really can't take them up to the next level. And for me, the next level is just some variation of smart casual as opposed to dumb casual, which tends to be, the distinction I make. Is this something that, I really don't mind being seen out in public with? Well, I have to work on that whole t-shirt thing. But the problem is, for me, I have t-shirts. Well, as I say, a lot of t-shirts. Because, again, comfortable, inexpensive, and remember, I'm always bargain shopping. And I have button-down shirts. I also have Henleys, which are just slightly dressier t-shirts. Although, because they are very slightly dressier, I am just in love with those Henleys. But it's not the way it used to be when I was younger. When I was younger, and many of you are somewhere near my age, so this will probably resonate with you, blouses were available in a vast array of styles and colors and dressiness levels. You could get fabulously dressy blouses. You could get really, really plain blouses, because when I was younger, a t-shirt was casual attire. You would not wear a t-shirt into the office. You just wouldn't do that. The only time I think I ever wore a t-shirt to work was on those days when we were rearranging the filing cabinets or moving the furniture around or doing something that would justify wearing a t-shirt and jeans. Yeah, it's just t-shirts do kind of go with jeans. So that's where I'm at as far as my dissatisfaction with tops and blouses go. I have become casualized along with the rest of society. I have lost my sense of this really isn't appropriate for anything other than digging in the garden. And consequently, I am wearing t-shirts out into the community, t-shirts to the grocery store, t-shirts to the doctor's office. And it embarrasses me to say t-shirts to, other places that aren't the doctor's office, places where I should be dressing up a little more. Shame on me. But I just don't feel like I have the options I used to have with all of the cute, fancy blouses we had, because there was a time when our wardrobes were largely wrapped around blouses and dresses. So it wasn't so much the bottom, because there were limited options when it came to things like skirts or trousers. But the way you could dress up your outfit was with a nice blouse, with a collar and fancy buttons and puffy sleeves or whatever. It's just pick your decade and you'll see what I mean. So I don't know. So I'm definitely obsessing about this now, because you know me, I've always got to have something to obsess about. And that brings me to where I was hoping to go with this video before I sidetracked myself with a shirt. Because obviously I can sidetrack myself with anything. And that is, I thought I would give you an update on my weight loss adventure. The last time I spoke with you about this was 3 months ago. So what has happened in the last 3 months is almost nothing. I have lost 10 pounds in the last 3 months, which is a little bit below that sort of safe, healthy weight loss framework, which should be about between, the so-called experts, say 4 to 8 pounds a month. And 3 pounds, 3 pounds over, okay, 3 pounds over 3 months is just about what explains that 10 pounds I've lost. So 4 to 8 pounds, I've been below that. And I thought we would talk about what happened, what went wrong. Now, I have to be careful about this because I shouldn't frame it in terms of what went wrong. Obviously, I'm still losing weight. That is a good thing. But I'm not losing as much weight as I had hoped to. And here's what happened in a nutshell. I think after having worked on weight loss for a long period of time, I eventually just kind of lost my momentum. I hit a point where focusing on this and having to be mindful all the time just became a bit of an ordeal. And I started getting a bit sloppy about it. Does that mean I was wildly overeating? No, nothing like that. If I had been wildly overeating, I wouldn't have managed to lose 3 pounds a month, which is the average. 3 pounds a month, which is what I've been doing for the last 3 months. Is it as well as I was doing before? No. Is it as well as I hoped to have been doing at this point? No. But I would be doing myself and you, because I'm talking to you about this, a disservice if I said, well, this is a disaster. No, it isn't. It's just, I got tired of it. I guess that's sort of the bottom line. It can be very difficult to sustain the interest in doing something for a prolonged period of time. And I hit a point where I was no longer feeling like Jabba the Hutt, and I said, okay, I can take a little break from this. Well, I didn't actually say that, but I think I thought it in the back of my mind and just got a little less focused. And that's probably the most fair way to put it. So now I have to refocus and get back to where I was. But before we get there, we really have to talk about this. Do I expect to be spending the rest of my natural life in diet mode? And the answer to that is no, absolutely not. Because, first of all, since I'm still losing weight, there will come a time, well, it won't hit that point, but theoretically, if I continued to do this, there would come a time when that continued weight loss would begin to have a negative impact on my health. And see, the thing that happens first before your physical health really gets compromised, your psychological health starts to get compromised. We know this because of the Minnesota starvation experiment, which is an experiment that was conducted at the end of World War II among men, not women. And it turns out that a starvation level diet, which is anything, in their case, it was below 1,800 calories a day. But remember, this was men. And they were young, healthy men, too. Anything below 1,800 calories. And yeah, you're going to start to feel the psychological effects. And for them, it was depression, hysteria, and hypochondria. Those were the big ones. Also, there was a loss of sexual interest, and one guy in the experiment, and given the fact that the experiment was only something like 36, I think it was 36 healthy adult men, one guy chopped off 3 of his fingers. So I would say, yeah, got to take this seriously. And I throw that out there not to scare you, but just to be fair and accurate in terms of what happens if you are going to commit to long-term weight loss. Do not do it lightly. Do not go into extreme dieting. Oh, the 3 fingers chopped off with the hatchet guy? He wasn't sure if he did it on purpose or by accident, which just tells you the level of psychological damage that could be involved in this. Imagine not knowing if you had intentionally cut off your fingers. That is a level of psychological disturbance that I think most of us would just as soon not hit. But I do want to be honest with you. Am I looking to go into a situation like that? Absolutely not. Am I looking to do this for the rest of my life? No. Because for most of my life, I have been well able to maintain my weight. I will adjust my food intake to match my exercise levels, and I'm okay with that. So I'm looking at this as a problem that I have to resolve, and weight loss is therefore temporary. I will be in this mode for a certain period of time, and then I will gradually cycle back into whatever my normal is, hopefully. But I am being keenly aware of the overall picture that I'm looking at. So even though I would like to up that weight loss a little, am I willing to up it a lot? Oh no, I like my fingers, thank you very much. And because we already know there are significant risks. And let me digress for a moment. When I was in my 20s, and I'm sure all of us have experienced this, if I wanted to lose 10 pounds, I could do it in the space of a month. Most of us can, because when you're in your 20s, you're young, your body is resilient, you can do that. You can lose weight very quickly. You know, it's like, I have a dress, I want to fit into that dress for a party coming up, and yeah. But I also had friends, coworkers, I'm thinking back to a couple of coworkers in particular, who seemed to be in permanent weight loss mode. These were the little girlies who would walk into work, bring their lunch in from home, and lunch would consist of a banana or a handful of grapes. Well, they weren't chopping off their fingers for starters, and they weren't starving to death, even though, in fact, this would be the way they would eat lunch with the rest of us for months on end. So I have to say it probably wasn't illustrative of how they were eating most of the time. And when I look back on it, I have to wonder if that might not have been something they were doing just for the benefit of their coworkers. Well, I only have a banana for lunch. That's what I do, which is why I'm a size 2. It's like, no, honey. If that was the way you ate most of your day, you would have been dead from starvation years ago. So I look back on that and say, yeah, that's probably not a reasonable template either. But I have been looking at this in terms of something, obviously I want something we can all deal with, something I can bring you that you might be able to use in your own life as well, rather than just, oh, I'm going to talk to you about my weight loss and I am unhappy. That's not what's going on here. I have some tricks that I can do when and this is with anything. This is not with weight loss specifically. It's things I do whenever I find I'm not where I feel I need to be in my life. Little tricks and resets to jumpstart myself. Give myself a little kick in the butt. So, what I have decided to do was go back to how I started dieting in the first place. This last batch of dieting. We're not going back to what I used to do in my 20s because that was crazy stuff. And I went back into the kitchen, wandered around, looked at my cabinets, in my refrigerator, and said, okay, all of my favorite little, I don't want to call them diet foods, these are normal foods that I just happen to like, that are low calorie, and that was how I managed to make dieting pleasant. not a hardship. And they're all still there. But you know what I noticed? I started seeing some convenience foods. I started seeing some junk food. There's a bag of potato chips in there. Yeah, kind of a problem. And also, I started abusing some of the other healthier diet choices that I had been making in the past. You know, sort of the protein bars, that sort of thing. It's like, yeah, protein bars are great. You know, you don't feel like having lunch. That happens to me every now and then because, you know, I'll have to get a video out and I don't want to move away from what I'm doing. And there's a limited number of stuff you can shove in your face while you are sitting over a computer and editing a video. Protein bars are one of them. But was I going in and just eating them as a snack? Yeah, well, obviously I was. And I needed to take a look at this and figure out, you know, did this happen because I was starting to feel deprived? Did this happen because I felt like, well, I no longer feel like Jabba the Hutt, so I can afford to get sloppy? I'm not really sure. It's probably a combination of all of those things put together. But now I have to go back. I need to jumpstart that weight loss process again. So I need to back off on that snacking. I need to take a good hard look at what I am buying going forward. Will I be able to do this? Sure, I've done it before. And that's one of the great things about having lost weight. You know you did it before, so you know you can do it again. But I need to sustain the momentum. And it can be hard to sustain that momentum for a long period of time, like indefinitely. Am I really going to do this indefinitely? No, I hope not. But, you know, who knows? But I do need to be able to sort of recapture that. And it was easy when I would look at myself and say, oh, you know, well, like I say, Jabba the Hutt, look at this. Look at how fat you are. You must do something about this. And now I'm looking at it and I'm saying, you're not that fat. Not really. Well, the truth is I am. You know, there's no two ways around it. Yes, just because I'm not as fat as I used to be does not mean I suddenly managed to turn into Twiggy overnight. I still need to lose weight. And see, that's the other side of this. When you look at your victories and say, oh, this is fabulous. This is all I need to do. Yeah, not so good. So I am, in fact, working on that reset. Fortunately, because I actually still have a clear sense of how I managed to get my head into that let us lose weight mindset in the first place. It should be fairly, I say that and then it's like, ooh, fairly simple. Ooh, is it really? Well, I hope it will be. I'm going to try hard to make it that way. And given the fact that I think my biggest enemy was just, well, it's the reason that I overeat is boredom. And I think I just got bored with dieting. I think it sort of lost its luster. It should be pretty easy to get back. We'll have to see. But the thing that I wanted to throw out is we can do this with everything. Your thing may not be dieting. Your thing may be you just don't feel like cleaning the house when you get out of bed in the morning. You look around and say, it's dirty, I don't care, I'm not going to put the effort into it. And Lord knows I've had days like that myself. What we have to do is find ways to reset. Find ways to jumpstart that pattern. Because things like watching our weight, that is kind of permanent. Dieting is not, but being mindful of what you eat is. So, yeah, that should be permanent. Things like cleaning the house, unfortunately, that is permanent because it's always going to get dirty. You're always going to generate dirt. You walk around, you get yourself something to eat, you've got dirty dishes you have to deal with. You go in the bathroom, take a shower, you've got a shower you have to clean up. We have to do it. And it is ongoing. We are going to be doing this for the rest of our lives, whether we like it or not. So you just have to be able to wrap your head around it, but also you need to develop a few tricks to get yourself re-motivated, to jumpstart, to reignite that spark. And there are plenty of things you can do. When it comes to cleaning, you can look at a little minor redecorating. And when I say redecorating, I'm not talking about going out and buying all new furniture and getting yourselves into debt or whatever. I'm talking about rearranging a few things. Maybe just pulling down the curtains and putting back up the curtains you used to have up there 2 years ago, or whatever. Little redecorating bits. And you can do that for very little or no cost. So, what's little cost? Little cost are a few new throw pillows. No cost is maybe your neighbor is getting rid of some throw pillows. That's no cost. You can go out and buy a few odds and ends from a thrift store and say, well, I'm going to rearrange and I'm going to make these new little odds and ends the focus of, the little collection of stuff on my end table or whatever. However you choose to decorate your space. Getting a little more exercise. It's just a question of saying, I need to restart this, so tomorrow morning I am going to get up and get out and walk for 5 minutes. That's all. 5 minutes, I'm going to walk. And then the next morning, the morning after. There are many, many ways we can do this to re-spark. Also, setting goals is another one. That's a good one for weight loss. Like, I would love to fit into, that new blouse I'd like to buy, or whatever. Wouldn't it be great if I could just look good in a certain dress? That can be very motivating. It can provide an incentive. And the same thing with other things like cleaning the house, getting a little exercise, taking on some job that you should do, but you don't feel like doing it. Like maybe, digging out a flower bed in the back garden. Look at what it will be like when the job is done. That can be our motivation. So I thought I would just throw this out to all of you because first of all, I did feel I owed you some sort of follow-up on where the weight loss is going, especially because, frankly, it's not going as well as I had hoped. And I don't have a lot of credibility with you if I don't share the not-so-good news along with the good news. Yeah, it's not going as well. It's going, but not as well. So this is where we're at. But also because we can use this as a reset opportunity, as an opportunity to jumpstart, get back into the cycle of doing something good for ourselves. So, tell me what you do when you need to reignite that spark, because so many of you have fabulous ideas, and it's something we can all learn from. So, that is what I have for you today, a bit of a ramble. It would have been nice if I had better news on the weight loss front, but at least it wasn't terrible news. And again, want to hear how you cope with this sort of thing. So, thank you for being with us today. We are going to look at a slideshow on the way out. I hope to see you all back tomorrow. And in the meanwhile, have a terrific day.